This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is July 18th, 2024. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, and for the last time, joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what is going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. Before we started recording, you're like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "You can ask me in 20 minutes," because I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see. If there are tears, there could be, right? Like I flip the switch pretty quickly when it comes to leaving things, when other people are emotional, going through something, telling me about it. Those are the stuff that triggers me, right? That's the only time that I ever shed tears. So, this is one of those unique situations where it could happen. Yeah. So if you guys can't hear very well during this episode at any point, hop over to YouTube. Give us a like while you're there, and you can try to read my lips while I'm talking. But yeah.
Hey, like and subscribe, ring the notification bell,
that's right.
Do all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're not gonna spend if we're gonna spend some time dwelling on the fact that it's Luke's last episode. Luke, we've been talking about it for like a couple of months now, but like even today when I posted that, like, hey, we still need still looking for voicemails for this episode, because Luke's leaving people like, where's he going? So if you could just as briefly as you want to, just give people a very quick summary of what's going on.
I think I can do this better than last time. So okay. I think I'm in a better spot. Yes. So I have accepted a job, been working at a job at my dad's church that he started almost 30 years ago. And I've been doing social media, website, all that kind of stuff. That stuff feeds a lot of what my passion has been with the Sixth Man Show, right? Looking at numbers and being obsessed with numbers and how do we get better? What do we do? That feeds a lot into my passion there. And I just know that is a calling. That is something that I don't want to sell myself short on. I don't want to sell God short on. That is just that it's a calling. And so I wanted to put 120% into that. I also wanted to maintain the energy that I give to my family. And so as a result, I just felt like this was the best route for me. It is tough. It was not made a decision I took lightly. It is super unfortunate. And this doesn't mean that I'm going away, forever. It just means I won't be on the show twice a week all year. Right. It means that I'm sure that I will get a text every now and then of, hey, Kevin, or hey, Jonathan cannot make the show tonight for whatever reason. Would you be able to fill in last minute? That type of stuff. If I'm able to do it, I will do it. It just won't be something that I put as much into as I did and have done for the last 4 years. So I'll still be around for team culture, all that kind of stuff with our guys, and doing, proofing articles and posting them up on our site for those guys, and continuing to help them, give them feedback however I can. So yeah, that's kind of the brief rundown there. I just felt like I had to eliminate something. And unfortunately the show, me being in this role was the casualty. So that's really the rundown.
For the conspiracy theorists out there, nothing happened between myself and Luke, or Luke and anybody.
True.
I mean, he's leaving us. I mean, we feel a certain type of way about that. But no, Luke, yeah. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you know how I feel, and how happy we are for you and how we understand and everything. But yeah, just wanted, for people that maybe missed that episode or whatever, because every, so often we've been getting questions on that. Just wanted to put that out there again, let people know sort of what is going on. And we'll talk a little bit of Magic basketball, but we've also got some voicemails that we had, listeners call in and to wish Luke farewell. So we'll play those periodically throughout the episode. Well, Luke, today we got some big Orlando Magic news, and it was a signing. But what was more important than the player that we signed is really what it kind of put the final stamp on, and a lot of us sort of saw it coming and we've been talking about it. Luke and I are wearing our number 20 jerseys here for a reason. The Magic will seemingly have come to an agreement, a 2-year deal with veteran guard Corey Joseph, which completes their roster. They now have 15 players set to the roster, which means that Markelle Fultz is not coming back to the Magic. And it's a tough day. Markelle Fultz is still a good basketball player. He's still a high level, caliber. Like, I think can be a really good role player for a really good team. But I think the writing has been on the wall for really most of this season that it was time. And I think it's best for both parties that the Magic and Markelle Fultz move on from one another. And I think what this shows is that, like, if Markelle Fultz was going to come back, it was going to be the 15th man. Like, he wasn't going to be playing. It would have been for some type of veteran deal, which I'm sure we'll find out is what Corey Joseph is being signed to. This gives Markelle the opportunity to go elsewhere, get paid more money than he would have here, and also have a bigger role than he would have here, Luke.
Like you said, this was more about what it meant for the player who was on the team last year and Markelle Fultz. So yes, despite what I wanted the Magic to do to move off of Markelle Fultz, it was a whole lot to do with the fit. I think that he is a good facilitator. He is great around the rim. However, lacking in a lot of other areas that the Magic and this young team absolutely need in shooting, right? Something you found in KCP and something you're going to find that is better coming from Anthony Black and his development for the future. So freeing up Markelle Fultz from the organization so that AB can further develop as well is what I think is happening here, obviously. But also, I think this means Markelle Fultz absolutely wants minutes somewhere else. Like, he just wants minutes. And I'm sure that the conversation was, hey, we can bring you back on a small deal, but you're not going to get play time unless we absolutely need you. That would be your role. And I'm assuming that Markelle Fultz said, no, I think I can get more money, or no, I think I deserve, like, I want to go find some play time, and I understand what you guys are doing here, understand that I'm just being phased out. And Corey Joseph played the role of, you're not going to play much already last year. And he played like 11 minutes a game, 26 games total for the Golden State Warriors. The year before that, he played 62 games and he played like 19 minutes, which is, I think,
and more. Opened the season getting absolutely posterized by Paolo Banchero, by the way.
And so, yes, they put 2 and 2 together. He was with Detroit. If you remember that poster, that was against Detroit. That was with Detroit, who significantly worse basketball team than the Magic are. So I'd say it's safe to assume if he was getting 20 minutes with Detroit and 25 minutes the year before, he might get 10 a game, 11 a game at those when he is actually playing.
Yeah, I don't see him being in the rotation unless somebody is hurt. But I do think that if someone is hurt and he is essentially, like, it seems like it's going to be like sort of like the third or fourth point guard, like Jalen is your lead guard, and then off the bench is going to be AB. If something's going on with AB, it's probably primarily going to be Cole Anthony. Maybe if both of those guys or two out of those 3 guys are out, then maybe Corey Joseph will see playing time. But I see Corey Joseph almost in like the oh my goodness, I cannot believe I'm forgetting the guy's name. What is the gentleman's name who played for E'Twaun Moore, in like the E'Twaun Moore role from a couple of seasons ago where we just never saw him. I think good grief, and E'Twaun Moore had multiple stints here. My apologies.
I thought you were going to say Donald Foyle. So
no. E'Twaun Moore, who, like, was on the roster and then, like, in the preseason had like a knee injury, and then we just never saw him the entire season. I think that's probably the role that we'll see out of Corey Joseph, like a true, like, break glass in case of emergency, kind of minutes out of Corey Joseph. But and we'll talk, a little bit more about Corey Joseph. But I wanted to talk about Markelle Fultz, and I feel like some people have sort of like had a misconception of how you and I feel about Markelle Fultz, like, in recent months. For us, and the decisions that have been made throughout this offseason and the decision to sign Corey Joseph today, and it's obvious that Markelle Fultz is moving on, has just really like confirmed those feelings that I think Luke and I have had, that he's not the answer for this team in the future moving forward. He's not the fit is not there, and that we should be prioritizing developing Anthony Black moving forward. And that seems to be the direction that the front office is heading in. All of those things, like we can talk about the injuries, we can talk about the shooting, sure. Like those were the biggest issues with Markelle Fultz. I just wanted to spend like a couple of minutes like celebrating Markelle Fultz and the time that he had here, and like how absolutely fantastic of a human being he is when it comes to like the Fultz giving and the way that he interacts with fans, with his teammates, with organizational staff. Like truly, like there, you are hard pressed to find a better, more kind person than Markelle Fultz. And I just go back to the 2018-2019 season when we traded for Markelle Fultz, basically for peanuts, when like all of the weird shoulder stuff was happening in Philly and it seemed like he had forgot how to shoot. And then we trade for Markelle Fultz, and then you're just like, if we can get this guy healthy and if he can find that shooting stroke from Washington again, like that would change the trajectory of the franchise. And to the Magic's credit, they gave Markelle Fultz every opportunity to get back to that guy. And I think we all talked ourselves into like time after time of like, okay, maybe it's still possible for the shooting to come back to a certain extent. And I think now most people are at the point of like, hey, this guy is what he is. He can still be a really good player, but the potential that he had is like the number one overall pick. Like he's not going to reach that. But I was so excited when we made that deal. I think the Magic won like their next 5 games in a row after making the trade for Markelle Fultz. It felt like he was our good luck charm. And then, was a big piece of what we did the next season, making the playoffs. And then the Magic get off to like the 6-2 start in the 2020-2021 season before he tears his ACL. And then everybody got hurt and the bottom just kind of fell out of that season. But Markelle Fultz, I'll just always remember, one, how great of a person he was, and like the mix of like that herky-jerky movement and his athleticism with the ability to finish around the rim. And when like the shooting stroke looked good, how deadly he was from the mid-range and in. An underrated passer, really, really good defender, obviously big guard with size and the athleticism and the ability to finish over guys. Like Markelle Fultz, like in his prime here in Orlando, and maybe his actual prime is post Orlando, but like talking about the best version of the Orlando Markelle Fultz, was one of my favorite players, definitely of the last decade with the Magic, and was a lot of fun to watch. And I wish him nothing but the best moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely echo the sentiments. There was a time where I wanted Markelle Fultz to be on this team for as long as possible. And ultimately what it comes down to is that at the end of the day, I am at most a fan of the Orlando Magic. And if I feel like there is someone that is stopping another player from developing, such as Anthony Black, and just doesn't have it, and I am convinced that we have seen the best of him in Orlando, being Fultz, then I'm always going to side with the Magic. And Fultz was amazing. He was part of this team. And it just, the time has come. And they have parted ways, however they came to that conclusion. It's, sucks to see Markelle Fultz, the person, go, but I do think that him leaving as the player will kind of open up the next portal for the Orlando Magic to exceed and do great things.
There's like a solid like 2 or 3 year stretch, of Markelle Fultz being here, where you and I at different times like would tell people, no, the Magic don't need a point guard. Like Markelle Fultz is the point guard of the future. And I think part of that was like we believed that like maybe the shooting would come back to a certain extent. But as his time in Orlando sort of closed, like we saw him like pass up more and more of those opportunities, even in the mid range. And the writing was just sort of on the wall that like, hey, this is best, yes, for the Magic, but it's also, I think, best for Markelle for him to move on, at this point. And I'm excited to see where he goes next. I really hope that he gets a legitimate opportunity, either as a lead guard, maybe for a lottery team, or like, I still think he can be a contributing guy for a really good playoff contending level team in the right context. Like he needs to be surrounded by 4 shooters. If you're able to do that in a bench context and allow him to do the things that he does really well and have the threat of shooters around him, I think he could be really good. It just timeline and like fit wise, it just didn't end up working out for here in Orlando. But like I know there are a lot of people that are really upset today and they're really saddened by the fact that Markelle won't be back. And I feel for those people, and I feel for Markelle, and obviously we just wish nothing but the best for Markelle, and hope that he continues to have a very successful and long playing career. Kevin, let's go ahead and listen to some voicemails for Luke.
Hey, Luke, what's going on, man? Hey, congratulations on the new move. It'll be sad not to hear you. Hello from Germany. I'm an American living in Germany, man. I've been listening to you guys for a couple of years. Understanding the Magic is what y'all do, and helping us to understand the Magic, what y'all did. Congratulations. Have a good one, man. Peace.
Hey boys, Jay here from Magic Player History Down Under. Bloody cold down here at the moment. Just wanted to hop on and wish Luke all the best. I will always remember when I went to my very first NBA game. The only man from the Six Man Show who was there was Luke. Got to meet him in person. Great guy. Have really enjoyed the hours and hours of content. And look, I actually love Luke. He's a little bit of a contrarian. I'm a little bit worried. Jonathan and Kevin, a little bit of groupthink, you guys. So Luke is going to be really missed on the pod. Thanks for all the hours you've got me through car drives and working around and just listening to the pod and putting it on and escaping from everything and listening to the Magic. So all the best, Luke. Thanks, mate.
Hey, Luke. You're going to be missed so much. Just know that I hope you make cameos apparently very often, but I was one of the drunkenly guys who sent messages to John saying I could be co-host, and then I backed out really quick the next day when I sobered up, and tell Jonathan that you'll never forget Paolo and Franz's warmth. Go Patreon, go Six Man Show. Love you guys.
That's pretty good stuff right there. What do you think?
Yeah, Jay's got me, obviously, as you guys could see if you were watching on YouTube, but I have composed myself now. Yeah, shout out to you guys. I appreciate y'all.
All right, let's keep it moving here. Let's talk a little Corey Joseph, Magic. Apparently from Mike Scotto of Hoops Hype, the Magic have come to a 2-year agreement with veteran guard Corey Joseph, who next month is going to be 33 years old. He's appeared in 816 regular season NBA games and 82 playoff games for the Spurs, Raptors, and Indiana Pacers. This is a guy who, you mentioned a few minutes ago, last couple of seasons, he's been in Golden State and in Detroit, played 20 minutes a game a couple of years ago in Detroit, played 26 games for the Warriors this year, only played 11 minutes per game, averaged 2.4 points per game, 1.2 rebound, 1.6 assists, shot almost 36% from the floor, 31% from behind the arc. For his career, he's 44% from the floor and almost 35% from behind the arc. So doesn't bring a ton of shooting. Again, what I really think this is like a true break glass in case of emergency, like if you need an emergency 4th or 5th point guard. Veteran presence, a guy who has been around. I mean, he's an NBA champion, won a championship with the Spurs in 2014, appeared in 17 playoff games, played only 5 minutes per game, but just like another guy with championship level experience who's been around the very best of the best. Kawhi Leonard, Manu Ginobili, Toby Parker, good grief, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, like is just a guy that is going to be able to come in and sort of uphold the standard that the Magic are trying to hold themselves to and have that level of accountability and be able to, tell guys like, hey, this is where you want to be. Like, this is what it takes to get there.
You've now got 2 ring winners with the Orlando Magic and Corey Joseph and KCP. So clear the direction this team wants to go. They want guys that can bring in the knowledge of that. Corey Joseph, even I, just for anyone who was thinking and had kind of the same mindset as me during Jonathan reading that, he was a one and done. in college, played at the University of Texas, and averaged like 10 points per game there as a freshman, and shot like 41% from 3 on 3.5 attempts. And then he went to the opted into the draft and was picked like in the high 20s of the first round. So that's kind of the all encompassing Corey Joseph story. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that you needed a guy that wasn't going to be wanting minutes. He doesn't really care. So Corey Joseph getting to come down to sunny Florida. So good for him. I mean, he's been in San Antonio, Toronto, Indiana, Sacramento, Detroit, Golden State, and now we get to be the first Florida team that he gets to be on. So yeah, he'll be good to have around. He was at a summer league game too, and was chopping it up with Magic guys look like after. So already getting the vet leadership, and that was like the last game. That was before he signed.
That was Monday.
So I'm assuming he was in like negotiations or something, and he
it must have been pretty close to being
He had
done.
an idea. He was meeting with them out there is what was happening. I'm sure. And so shout out to Corey Joseph. Excited to see him root on these young guys and pour into them, and give them some wisdom.
Luke, now that the Magic are effectively done, it seems like with the offseason, like really the only other route that they could go is like a trade, which doesn't seem super likely as of right now.
Yeah.
If I were to tell you that really like the Magic's main moves this offseason would be drafting Tristan da Silva, bringing back Gary Harris, letting Chuma Okeke, Markelle Fultz, Joe Ingles walk, bringing in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, bringing back Mo Wagner, Goga Batadze, maxing Franz Wagner, and then bringing in Corey Joseph. If I would have told you that like 3 weeks ago, right, like the days leading up to free agency, what would your reaction have been if I told you, hey, this is how the Magic's free agency goes? While we were living in that time of, maybe Paul George, Klay Thompson, so on and so forth. Like, what would you have said?
I mean, resonating with the people who also felt this way. Like, obviously, if we're in all those talks and then all of a sudden we fast forward and you're like, okay, this is what you ended up doing, I'd be like, oh, that was it. It felt like we were primed to do so much more. But so that's how I would have felt then. Now, we talked about it on our last episode with Drew Gooden, and you guys could go back and watch that if you guys want, if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, the sentiment that I gave there was like, we added shooting, we added veteran leadership and championship pedigree. And there was someone too, like, this is my last episode, blah, blah, blah. I'm still going to do what I always do and refer to YouTube comments, because there was someone that was like, how are you going to sit there and act like you're okay with this when we all know that, what they say, adding a point guard and adding a center were the biggest things. It wasn't, basically told me like it wasn't shooting. To which I said, you might have thought that. I didn't. And a lot of other people did not. Shooting was what needed to be addressed. KCP got signed. And since then, I'm glad you got Corey Joseph. There's your point guard. So it's like, that was just a silly comment to me. But that's where I'm at mindset wise, is like, I think they did a fine job. I'm not like through the roof, but KCP is still going to be valuable. This team still won a ton of games last year. So what can they do this year? And we'll see what they can do. But I think that 50 wins could happen. A lot's got to go your way, because a lot did go your way last year, if we're being honest, with injury luck for other teams. So now at this point, looking forward, it's kind of like I'm all right with where we're at right now. Absolutely, I'm more than all right with that.
So if you were to bring that to me, I would have said, well, that's underwhelming, right?
Yeah. And
that's just being completely honest, given where we were at the time and sort of the all the cap space that we had and the possibilities that were perhaps and falsely in front of us.
Yeah.
But that does not mean where we are now is bad, right? Like, we did add shooting. We retained shooting that we had, obviously adding Tristan da Silva. And to me, what this offseason was really about was like doubling down on your young talent and doubling down on their development, where sure, bringing in a guy like a Paul George or Klay Thompson would have been like really stepping on the gas. But it would have been like, okay, these guys are going to come in and like really elevate the team and elevate some of these young guys, but at the same time, potentially take away from them a little bit. where like the major addition, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, is not going to be taking away from any of the things that the young guys are doing. And they made additional moves to further invest in these guys' development. They gave Franz Wagner a max. That is the ultimate like sign of, hey, we believe in you. They let Markelle Fultz walk essentially because the plan was, it seems like we're going to continue to invest in Anthony Black and his development and get him some more minutes. And like Joe Ingles leaving opens up the door potentially for Jet Howard minutes or Tristan Da Silva minutes, which we'll talk about those guys a little bit later as we talk about Summer League. But yeah, I will level with people that are saying, hey, like this offseason is not what we expected. It's underwhelming, so on and so forth. I understand that. And I agree with you to a certain extent, but that does not necessarily mean that the Magic had a bad offseason. This offseason looked differently than I expected it to, but I do still think that it was a good offseason.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's Kev hit some more voicemails before we go to break.
Oh, this is like waves of zombies.
Luke, my man, I just want to say thank you first of all, and I admire what you're doing and you know, putting family first. You're a bigger man than I am. But anyways, it's Daniel Flores. I'm a listener for a while. I'm very appreciative of you, Jonathan, and Kevin, and of course my prayers out to Kev. And yeah, man, you're definitely gonna be missed. I know how Jonathan said on the last episode, you won't be gone, but seeing you consistently there, it's you know, it's gonna suck, man. It's gonna suck. But at the same time, it's not, because I know Jonathan got us and Kevin, and we'll go from there. But hey, man, if I ever see you at the stadium, I'll definitely say what's up, buy you a beer, and we'll have a good time. Thank you, man. Thank you for all your time and everything you did.
Luke Sylvia, the legend himself. This is Brent Vassbinder from the Dying for the O'Brien podcast, and I just wanted to wish you a happy retirement. I know you're only like 45 or whatever, but I've been so thankful for your hard work on the Six Man Show. Your sense of humor has probably been my favorite part, whether it was shirt on and nipples covered or shirt off and nipples unveiled. Your passion for life, for the Lord, for the Magic, and just for enjoying the podcast has brought many great memories for me. And so thankful for you, man, and I hope what comes next is wonderful.
What's up, Luke? It's Benny Boy. Just wanted to tell you that I'm very proud of you. Of course, we're going to miss you, but we know that it's just a, you know, bye for now. This is not a bye for good. Don't worry, I'm definitely going to keep those nipples alive for you throughout the season in case we go on another streak, so don't think that's ever going to end. And again, just very proud of you and love you, brother, and you know, can't wait to see you again, and, you know, go Magic as always.
Still doing all right?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, perfect.
We're all right. We're all right. Yeah, I think Daniel Flores, I think I've met him a few times, maybe at Amway or at Kia, excuse me. So thank you. I appreciate it. And obviously the other guys that left messages, you know, of course, Ben, being with the show, all those guys that just left messages. I believe I've met all of them. So shout out to you guys. Those mean a lot.
And Daniel, more of a white Zinf kind of guy than a beer guy.
True.
Just a heads up.
Yeah. You're right about that.
All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break for a word from our wonderful patrons. Some of those, some of you have called in and wished Luke a farewell. Really appreciate that. If you don't know what the Patreon is where you can help financially support the show, help us do everything that we do moving forward as we enter into a new chapter. Obviously, a lot of things are changing, and your support is going to go a long way in helping make sure those changes go as smoothly as possible. So if you guys are interested at all in helping out the show and joining the Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show. Each and every episode, we shout out our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons. So I'll go ahead and start with the Court Cousins: Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson, Tulo, Ellis, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Donkey Punch Dave, Paolo and Francis, Warren Pierre A, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Danwell, Bobby Skinner, Goody93, Teddy Sylvia, Dalek Lopez, Fuchsia, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Esquilin, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Ty, Mr. TV, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95, Shred, Junior Bruce, African, Shahin 177, Bobby the Don, Himlo Ben Himro, R Improv 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Mysterious Mosley, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampy, Random Hustle, Only Franz, Maria, Keith Loss, Fritz, Bruv Sal, Casey Green, Santi Leon, Kane Eckler, The Distracted Mod, Timsa, Chansu, Tom Gadsden, Dead Air, Richard Tuttle, Jeremiah Quintero, Magic Wire, Debo 1980, Magic Matt, Michael Thompson, Mama Richmond, Next Snap, What's Up, Playoffs 2024, Dylan Fay, David Duffy, Smith Sheeks, Ship Sinks, Bueno Time, Stantino 1995, Suggs Muggs, Daniel Anderson, Barry McElcaney, Will Spivey, Jay Enrile. A big shout out again to all of our patrons. And if you would like to join the Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show. Luke, I want to talk a little bit more about Summer League. So the recording of this show, we pushed it back a little bit because of the Magic were in the middle of a Summer League game, and then all of a sudden they were down 19, and we were like, okay, maybe we can get started a little bit early. And the next thing you know, the Magic tie the game, and then within like a few minutes, like they're down by 13 or 14 again. But nevertheless, the Magic are now 2-1 when it comes to Summer League. But really, what have been like your biggest takeaways? Like we talked about the things that we are looking for out of Summer League before Summer League started, and like how have these guys like met or not met your expectations?
Anthony Black, I mean, he played 2 games, and they ended up holding him out from this game, and I assume they'll hold him out from the rest. They said that he had an injury of sorts, but we know how that goes. When you're already looking for a reason for the player to miss games, you come to the point where if they like chip a fingernail, then you're like, all right, that's going to be our reason. We need whatever reason it is. They probably already had the reason planned. So AB is out. And so AB, we talked about a little bit, I think last episode. First game really, was really good. Last game, he did a little bit more facilitating, I believe, a little less turnovers. So from that standpoint, I don't think I learned very much about AB besides what I already knew. And we talked about his kind of inability to beat guys off the dribble and all that. Tristan da Silva has been awesome to the point where I'm like, I hope he cracks the rotation. I don't know how. I don't know who doesn't get minutes. I don't know any of the answers. I am right now just hoping that he is able to crack rotation because he does so many things well that he could be a passable and contributing player. And oh, by the way, he showed a lot of promise on catch and shoot threes. And right now, that's really just what the Magic need. Just need guys that can catch and shoot from the perimeter. And Tristan da Silva does that. He meets the criteria of what this front office likes. That's why he got drafted. So Tristan da Silva, that's kind of where I'm at with him. I think that he showed a little bit of everything. And I am pumped to see what he does in a Magic uniform for years to come.
Really quickly, while you're on that, 5.7 attempts from behind the arc. He's shooting 58.8% from 3 in Summer League.
Yeah, someone tell me if that's good. The other thing that I will say about that is that he is doing that with guys that aren't NBA, like they're not all NBA talent, right? It is not the caliber of guys he's going to be playing with that are going to really be maximizing and demanding attention. He was one of the best players, on the court, probably a top 4 or 5 player on the court any given night of Summer League so far. That is not going to be the case in totality when he steps foot on the court this year for the Orlando Magic. So you just think about the attention that Paolo gets, Franz gets, even Jalen compared to a Tristan da Silva, and even some of those bench guys, truthfully, like Cole Anthony, will likely get more attention than Tristan da Silva if they're playing together. And you have to think just how many open looks he's going to be able to get. And I think if you're smart, you try to get him minutes with Franz and Paolo. Because he could be a starter on this team in the next few years. Like, who knows? But he could be a complementary piece that starts, not because he's necessarily the best player, a top 5 best player on the team to be able to start, but because of the simple fact that he can knock down the shot. And Paolo and Franz will grow to love him as a result. And he's just already NBA ready, man. Like, I think he's ready. His body is ready, and so I just have been nothing but encouraged. That is a little bit of a pause for sure, but I meant it. And
gotta get one more in. Man, what is happening here? This is escalating quickly.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Tristan. If you're listening, he's not listening. But yeah, so that's what I learned with Tristan da Silva, and then Jet Howard. I mean, led the team in scoring tonight. Do you have his numbers in front of you?
Yeah, 19 points per game, shooting 50% from the floor on 13 attempts. He's shooting 7 attempts per game at 47.6% from behind the arc.
Yeah,
like for me, like Jet Howard and Tristan da Silva, they might have to have like a Hell in a Cell, like, cage match to the death to see who's going to get minutes, because I could make the case for either one of these guys right now.
Right, and that's what I think that's what it'll come down to. I'll have to look. I formed a minutes rotation thing, and I think we've talked about it. I posted about it on Twitter. I posted that before I was like heavily influenced by Tristan da Silva Summer League. And I think it's a rite of passage every year that has to be repeated, that you just overreact to Summer League. But I do think what we saw from Tristan da Silva and how it like catch and shoot, being able to shoot in catch and shoot situations from 3 always is going to translate. As long as there's not something mental going on to where you're flustered because you're playing on, in the NBA against Kevin Durant or whoever, right? You're not playing against G League guys and international guys. So yeah, I just, both of those guys have been awesome, and they both showed me a lot in this summer league so far, and we'll see if they get shut down after this game to allow opportunities for other guys to play. But yeah, these guys showed that they are too good for summer league. Would not be shocked, depending on how this year goes for Tristan da Silva, but I would not be shocked if we don't see any of those guys, being Jet, AB, and Tristan, back in Summer League ever again.
I completely agree. All right, Luke, we're gonna go ahead and finish up here with the final batch of voicemails here, and then we'll talk a little bit, and we'll wrap this up.
All right.
Hey, Luke, it's Blake. Just calling. Just looking back on all the times we had. When I would come and watch the 6-man show and the Magic game together. You guys started out with a few. Now you guys are in the hundreds. It's only going to get bigger. I know that, you're taking a step down from the podcast, but I know you'll always be around and we'll always see each other and talk Magic and celebrate. So just want to tell you again, congrats on the new job, and go Magic.
Hey, Luke, this is Ryan Singh, or Ryan from Sanford on YouTube and Discord. I just want to say it's a great pleasure having you on the show. I like listening to your takes. I like your perspectives. I mean, man, it's not going to be the same without you. I mean, best of luck of what you're doing next, and I hope to see you pop up sporadically on the show, and I hope to see you at Magic games and Magic events as well. Again, your influence and your takes on the Magic will never be forgotten.
Hi, this is Michael Salapong. I've been listening to the 6-man show for over 2 years and have been a patron for a while now. I just wanted to say thank you for everything, Luke. You're awesome, man. My favorite memory of you was when it was the Court of Dreams day, and when I parked my car and got out, the first person I saw was you, and it was honestly like seeing a celebrity. I live in Maryland, so to meet you and Jonathan was one of the best moments of my life, and that day was the best day of my life, so I'm forever grateful for you guys, and I truly wish you the best. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Go Magic.
The best day ever, Michael, is wild.
We gotta get you some new days, my guy.
No, but what I will say, just because it's, oh man, I can already feel him. What I will say is that, like, that stuff that we did and that y'all will continue to do is for stuff like that, right? Like the memories. So, yeah, shout out to you, Michael. And shout out to Blake as well, brother of old Benji. So shout out to you, Blake. Always been right there by Ben's side and supporting us. So, and then Ryan Singh, obviously you've been around listening to the show for a while, and none of this could have been possible without people like you that listen to every episode and help support us and everything.
Well, I wanna say a couple of things here. I'm gonna try to keep it together now for sure. Luke, it's literally been, it's almost been 5 years. Like you and me, pretty close. Like maybe, what was it, like 4.5 years? I think something
sure,
like that.
We can call it 4.5. Yeah.
And I know you and I are both believers, man, and I believe that like it was divine appointment, that we would end up doing this together, because I know that the show never would have lasted, without you. I remember, I talked to a few people before I brought you on the show when I was looking for a co-host, but you were the first person that I talked to, and the second that I got off the phone with you, the night that we got off Skype. And I still have that Skype, by the way. You and me have done some growing, my boy. Good ways and bad. And I remember turning to Carmen and be like, I know that I have other people to interview, but that is the guy, right? Mm. And I prayed like incredibly hard over the course of the next, few days, week or so, like in my bedroom. Because like this pod has always been so important to me. And I just remember praying to God for like 30 minutes before I called you that like, God, I feel like this guy is the guy, but if he's not, I want you to make it apparent to me. And like the Holy Spirit just kept telling me like, this is the guy, this is the guy, this is the guy. And so God screwed me because now you're leaving. No, I'm kidding. Like, I know that it was the Holy Spirit because I got 4.5 years out of you on the podcast, but I know that I gained a brother and a friend for life. Like, I know that we're still going to be texting every day. Hopefully you'll be demolishing me in college football 2025. Our wives still work together. I know when they have work events, I'm still going to see you. Hopefully you'll, make it out to a watch party every now and then. I know that you're going to be on the show. I know what you're doing is incredibly hard, like stepping away, but I know you're called to do what you're supposed to do. And I like to think that this was like training for you, right? Like all of the social media, like all the experience that we've gotten over the past few years, like I know you're just going to take that with you and apply it. And I know you're already applying that to what you're doing now. And I'm just so happy for you. I'm happy for Lauren. I'm happy for your kids. I'm happy for your family. I'm happy for the church that you get to be a blessing in that way, man. And I'm just so grateful, honestly, man. Like for everything. The show is not going to be the same without you. It's not going to be as funny without you. It's not going to be as sus without you.
That's a fact.
That's absolutely for sure, man. And I just love you so much, man. And I'm going to miss you.
I love you too, man. I'm grateful. I started this, like I reached out to you about when you put out a tweet saying you're looking for a co-host. I just did it to scratch an itch that I felt that I had. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if that was just like streaming video games to two people just to have another outlet creatively, or what it was. But then I was looking for that and you tweeted and asking for someone to be a co-host, and I'm glad that I took the chance to DM you and plead my case for that. And then we had our conversation, and man, it did way more than just scratch the itch for that creative outlet that I needed and wanted. So I appreciate you, Kevin, everybody else. I know that you guys are going to continue to climb, and I can't wait to be a fan.
We have another voicemail.
Oh, good.
Hi, Luke. I just want to say how proud of you we are, and that when you started the podcast in our apartment back in Omaha with someone in Florida that you met on Twitter, I had no idea what was going to come from it, but this side hobby that turned into something bigger than we could have ever thought. I've loved watching your passion for the podcast grow and see you get to meet incredible people and players because of it. I loved going to games with you because I could see just how special your time on the show was and the impact you made on people we had never met before. I'm excited for this next season in our lives too, but I'm so happy you were able to be a part of something so special, seeing it grow into something so big. I'm so proud of you, and we love you so much.
I had a feeling, but I didn't think it was happening necessarily. because I know what Kev did to you on the 5-year anniversary. But yeah, thank you guys for that. And she didn't tell me, so she definitely kept it a secret. So
Lauren's a real one.
Yeah, so that's man, she made a lot of this possible. So
all made it all possible. You know, all of our wives do, and like the sacrifice that our families make. Like I know that none of us ever took that for granted, and I'm just excited for you to get some of that time back, man. So any I don't want to say final words, but any words for now and for a while.
Thank you guys. And I'd say more, but you guys know I won't. But thank you guys. She's like, man, just voicemails like Michael Salpong, like it's why we do it. And I'm happy to have played a small part in this, and the memories of people that I'll never see in everyday life. It's man, it's really cool. So, thank you guys.
You played a big part, brother. Don't forget that. You're always welcome back. I'll talk to you in 20 minutes from now. So,
sure.
That's going to do it for this one. For Jonathan Osborne, and for the maybe not final time, but at least for a while for Luke Sylvia, you all have been listening to the 6-Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6 Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!